Hello Friend. Story. Adamas. Episode 8, the Season 1 finale, opens with Woo-sin deep in thought typing on his laptop. He eventually prints out the manuscript and gives it in the name of the mother. But wait, before going further, did you like this video and subscribe the channel as well? If not, then kindly do it. It will keep us motivated to bring more content for you. Let's continue. In the following scene, Yeon Jo gives the green light to the My First Gun initiative, which is a series of ads designed to increase gun sales in the country. Before he leaves the conference room, he tells the others to support Ms. Kwon, who will be in charge of the 80th anniversary celebrations, because he is excited about the possibility. Curiously, his father asks him to stay away from things that don't concern him in front of JQ when he brings up the Adamas and beefing up security around them. However, Yeon Jo puts on his big boy pants to complain about how he is being treated and tells Section Chief Jung to take care of security around Young without Leader Lee's knowledge. In the meantime, Seo-hee realizes that her home no longer contains any of the records or evidence she had gathered. Sun shows up at Gong Dae-chul's house to find out where Soo Hyeon is. When he doesn't get a response, he says that because he doesn't know, the meeting is making them both nervous. Soo Hyeon, on the other hand, meets Chong-woo and learns that he is being illegally kept in isolation. Unfortunately for him, Chong-woo is terrified to the point of paralysis and will not meet him even if he mentions the law. Seo-hee and Ms. Lee discover that all of Chong-woo's case files have vanished, as if this was not enough of a setback. Leader Lee is delighted to discover a DNA test report after seeing the autopsy report shredded at Team A's office. Sadly, Sun tortures Dae-chul in an effort to locate Soo Hyeon, but she comes to the conclusion that he must be traveling to his father's grave due to the fact that the murder weapon left a scar in his eye that could replace the missing autopsy report. We in all actuality do leap to seeing Soo Hyeon and Mr. Beck going to the family gravesite, however not prior to seeing Sun killing Dae-chul. Woo-sin and Tae Sung, on the other hand, discuss ways to apprehend the chairman if, as Seo-hee points out, he did not kill his father. They must convince Ms. Kwon to accept him in order to tie him to the death of her son. As a result, Woo-sin was working on that manuscript from the very beginning. Keenly, he places the composition in his sack and has Ms. O convey it to Ms. Kwon. What a fascinating method for placing it in her grasp without drawing superfluous doubt toward himself. Woo-sin's plan works, and Ms. Kwon can't believe what she reads. It matches her life exactly, but not in the way she expected. Ms. Kwon's memories of her son's desire to attend college and her outspoken opposition to it are brought back to mind by the manuscript. Woo-sin and Hai-soo discuss the entire plan as we observe past wounds opening up. She then inquires about who else is assisting him with his plan. He denies it, yet she isn't idiotic, and she makes reference to that this is what is going on, in which Ms. Kwon and Kwon JQ will regard themselves as in a distinction in assessment, the start of doubt. Woo-sin is aware that one of his closest friends is leaving the house, but he can't come to lie to her. Hai-soo leaves after describing the situation as pitiful. He returns to Soo Hyeon and finds the grave of his father vandalized, or, more accurately, newly constructed. We see Woo-sin having a drink with his father at the latter's grave, which is right next to the other one, and it is a moving moment that demonstrates how smart and resourceful Woo-sin is. Soo Hyeon smiles and tells Mr. Beck that the gravestones were switched recently and that it is obvious who did it. They hear a phone ringing inside the car as they return to the vehicle, smiling at Woo-sin's cleverness. They find themselves in front of Dae-chul's bloody body as they head to the truck, his phone ringing on his cheek. Soo Hyeon is totally stunned at the sight, true to form, and as he considers what to do while crying, Sun looks on from a good ways, eagerly sitting tight for him to get the telephone. Sun tells him her name when he finally does and asks her who she is. This causes the car to explode right away. The fates of Soo Hyeon and Mr. Beck are unknown, but Sun mentions that she regrets killing him in this manner. Ms. Kwon is haunted by a startling Woo-sin at Haesong about her son's death. He seems to have planned out this entire exchange, right down to the pauses and stares he will give. He maintains his composure and does not attempt to refute any of her allegations. In fact, he adds to them to give the impression that the story is true. Tragically for him, Ms. Kwon begins chuckling and lets him know that she feels no connection to her child. Therefore, he is mistaken to believe that she would be fazed in any way if he is harassing her through him. It seems like Kwon Soon-yi isn't taking any of his controls and requests that he leave while he actually has the opportunity. However, Woo-sin is unable to stop pondering the events of this interaction. He is curious about the fact that Soon-yi never mentions her son and always starts sentences with JQ, indicating that he is very close to her. Ms. Kwon flips through her son's album back in her room, and Woo-sin realizes that she is attached to her son out of guilt. He storms into her room and tells her that she can't tell the chairman about anything because he'll start to doubt her. When Ms. Kwon questions Woo-sin about the chairman's inability to have anything to do with her son's death, she begins to lose her cool with him. Woo-sin gets onto that line, yet before he can ask her his questions, she drives him away from her room. He says out loud outside that she knew all along. Woo-sin and Tae Sung discuss how they can ship the Adamas back home without requiring recrafting as news of the ceremony's location in Haesong reaches the security room. In the meantime, Ms. Kwon looks out her window at the tree. Woo-sin has succeeded in getting her to think about things she had put off. In the meantime, Tae Sung mentions that it would probably be a bad idea to bring the Adamas back home because Team A is terrifying, and that it would be best for him to stay out of it because, in the worst-case scenario, they won't be able to protect him. Curiously, Woo-sin follows Tae Sung outside and tells him to ask SIH to investigate Chong-woo, a man who knows everything but whom Team A won't touch. Hae-soo learns who Woo-sin's other roommate is in the house as they have this open conversation. In regard to Hae-soo, a flashback shows her telling Woo-sin's mother that Chong-woo did not kill her husband. Curiously, she had advised them to disregard Chong-woo, he has endured enough harassment. Back in the present, Hae-soo remembers the conversation and calls someone to learn something. Mr. Baek and Soo Hyeon are located by the police in the interim. While Soo Hyeon is being transferred to the hospital, there is still hope for him. The latter appears to be too far gone to do anything. Sun waits outside SIH for them to exit the building as soon as the news reaches SIH. Because Hyuk Pil is aware that the people who attacked Seo-hee are waiting outside, he prevents the very emotional Seo-hee from leaving the inside. Leader Lee reveals that Chong-woo is the twins' father as the doctors fail to revive Soo Hyeon. Hae-soo informs Woo-sin at Haesong that she is aware that the chairman did not kill his father. Chong-woo wouldn't be here right now if he did. Woo-sin asks loudly why they're keeping Chong-woo alive, and Hae-soo seems to know the answer, too. Leader Lee expresses his delight at the news at Team AHQ, noting that the wait of 22 years was well worth it. At the jail, Chong-woo requests that the watchman advise Leader Lee that his senior wishes to meet him. This is the end of Episode 8 in Season 1. Review of Adamas, Episode 8. This is, without a doubt, the most thrilling episode of the show. It's a gripping episode with shocking revelations and twisted feelings all throughout. Adamas clearly does not play games, as evidenced by the deaths of Ms. Kwon's son and son's maniacal killing methods. The gradual process delivers a somewhat fascinating and provocative episode, and in spite of the fact that it was ruined from before that Chong-woo is Woo-sin and Soo Hyeon's dad, I completely eradicated that reality from my brain. As a result, discovering it once more is absolutely thrilling. In addition, how traumatizing must it be to learn that someone murdered your son for his body parts while remaining unwaveringly loyal to them. Wang Young-min, in her depiction of Kwon Soon-yi, is just perfect. She's heartless and without sympathy, however pieces and bits of her past show her to have had a somewhat miserable life. You feel both hatred and sympathy for her, and Young-min skillfully brings out the nuanced aspects of her character. After each episode, I'm in amazement of Woo-sin and how fascinating his personality is. You'd anticipate that the examiner should think a mile ahead, however something doesn't add up about thrill ride journalists that nobody can contrast him. Woo-sin is the methodical one, and every time you see him, you are reminded of it. He has contemplated these matters, and inside Haesong, he exudes a calm and collected demeanor. I was ultimately detained throughout the episode's duration. With the 80th anniversary fast approaching, let's hope the pace continues in second season to be delectably tortuous. Check out Adamas on TVN and Disney+. Please let us know in the comments if you'd like and want second season of Adamas, episode recaps, detailed reviews, or explanations of your favorite Korean or other country movies and shows. Thank you for viewing.